My name is Tim Locke, and I'm a pastoral counselor in Napa, California, and director of Four Springs, a beautiful retreat center near Middletown, California, with a long history of seminars and retreats in religious wisdom and psychology. And you can find me at napacounseling.org or at foursprings.org. And today I want to speak a little bit more about the we psychology of Fritz Kunkel, and specifically about what he called egocentricity and the different forms of egocentricity that get in the way of living from a deeper and more creative place, a place he called the we. So the four major forms of egocentric strategies that Kunkel identified were the turtle, the star, the Nero, and the clinging vine. And each of those pretty much conveys what they're about. The star strategy is a way of protecting ourselves from being hurt, or more accurately, protecting our self-image from being hurt. The star strategy is one of making sure one is well liked by everyone. The turtle strategy is used by people to protect themselves by withdrawing, by hiding. The clinging vine is a strategy that today we might call a dependent personality disorder, but it's clinging to a stronger personality in order to protect oneself from being hurt. And then the Nero is named for Emperor Nero, and this is an egocentric style of protecting oneself by making sure one is in charge, making sure one is in control. A feature of all the egocentric styles is that each of them holds within it its own demise, that the more we practice that style of protecting our self-portrait, the more it brings about the very end that we fear, such as the star, by doing most anything to be well-liked, ends up not being liked because people feel that he would or she would do anything, and there's not a sense of a real person there. And each of the styles has a flaw like that built into it. And together they all prevent us from living from what Kunkel called the we, or the maturing we, actually life itself alive within us, that is much more creative than the ego can be. So these four styles are a simple way of beginning to observe in oneself the shell that prevents us from living from this deeper center. Another accessible tool that Kunkel offered for self-observation was a way of understanding projection and looking in our lives for what he termed black giants and white giants. And these are figures typically from our childhood, but could be any time in our lives, that appear larger than life for us. And a clue that this is a projection is that we tend to see them as entirely negative or entirely positive, rather than just human-sized with lots of positive and negative qualities. And so when we notice that we tend to see somebody as either a black giant or a white giant in ourselves or in our lives, that would be a clue that we could use to look carefully at what we're projecting onto this other person and where it comes from in ourselves. So these are simple tools that begin to help us observe ourselves and observe how the egocentric styles might prevent us from tapping into a deeper source of life in us and living in a more creative way. Again, this is Tim Locke, a pastoral counselor in Napa, California, and you can find me at napacounseling.org or foursprings.org.